Now we're talking about steel companies. The summer vacation is officially over. Today the NCLAT will be hearing the New Metal and ArcelorMittal hearing on SR Steel. Remember, both of those in the midst of a war to buy out SR Steel, which has outstanding dues of over 50,000 crores. Well, let's talk about the markets at large, and our guest today on Markets at Lunch is Sanchita Mukherji, the co-founder and private wealth manager at Blue Edge. Good afternoon, Sanchita. Always a pleasure having you in our studio. Tell me, what are you telling your clients? Are you telling them to stay invested in the equity markets? And what about the mid-caps in particular? Boy, have they been bleeding.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Nayantara. Thank you for this opportunity. What I would like to highlight that yes, mid-caps have corrected close to around mid-cap indices close to around 15% from the top, and small-cap indices have corrected close to 20%. Yes, I'm sorry.
I think we're having some audio technical issues. I couldn't hear what you were saying. I'm assuming you've talked about the mid caps. What is it that you're advising your clients? Because you're seeing the foreign investors pull out of the equity markets. We're in the midst of global uncertainty. So what is it that private wealth managers are telling them to stay invested in equity markets, or the safer route of going down SIPs?
Hi, Nayantara. Can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes.
All right, great. So what I was just talking about is, yes, mid caps have actually corrected close to 15% from the top, and small caps have corrected close to 20% from the top.
No, I'm getting no audio,
Sanchita. Sanchita, go ahead. You were talking about what you're advising your clients?
That's right. I was just mentioning that there has been a 15 to 20% correction in the mid-cap and small-cap indices from the top. But I would like to point out that a couple of quarters back, mid-caps were actually trading at a 15% discount. From then, it had moved on to 15% premium. So there's been almost a hike of 30% in the mid and small cap stocks. Now this has come down from very, very expensive valuations to right now I would say very accommodative and reasonable valuations. We are not yet cheap as a market, but yes, these are reasonable valuations. What we are telling clients is that given that the long-term view is bullish in nature, clients are looking at actually picking up quality mutual funds, quality PMS, quality stocks if they want to, which are unleveraged, which have a good business model, they're market leaders in their space. The consumption theory still holds true. The inherent domestic economy is strong and the growth is strong. You could look at the new manufacturing index numbers, I mean, the PMI numbers have been released, which show that there's a huge order uptake, purchasing activity happening on the manufacturing front. So I think the inherent economic recovery is very much there. Quality mid caps and small caps are there to pick up deleveraged companies. One should definitely focus on that, and yes, staying invested in equity markets long term is always a good idea.
Okay, so you seem to be pretty optimistic on the markets, not very worried about maybe oil or any other factor like that. Very quickly, Sanchita, we have the earnings season that's going to kickstart. What are your own expectations? Which sectors do you think will do well?
If you'd seen the previous last two earning results, they have been actually on the positive. I would think that the margins are still under pressure because there's not much of pricing power left with companies nowadays because the input costs have steadily gone up because of the commodities rise. So yes, companies are struggling with that. Having said that, I'm still bullish on IT as a sector. Defensive is a theme that I would like to play at this point in time, given that a lot of correction has happened in the mid cap and small cap at large. I would still think there's headroom for another 5% correction. So I would be a little defensive at this point in time. IT as a sector is still very under-owned. There's a lot of projects that's happening in the IT, especially with a couple of large name companies. They're doing niche projects in digitization, automation, and cloud services. Certain mid-cap IT companies are doing very well. So IT, yes, and consumption-oriented themes, farm implements, seeds, these are some sectors that you could look at.
Right, Sanchita, thanks so much for coming to our studios. Apologies in advance for the site audio issues that we had. Perils of live television. That's Sanchita Mukherji of Blue Edge, with what she's advising all of her HNI clients on what to do with their equity market holding.